Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta bear.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
The Republican Party's racist.
Oh my God! He admitted!
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Thursday, and well, we got a show for you. We have fun stuff. We've got the ghouls, as usual, including Tennessee Republicans. Very, very ghoulish people, and I'm going to tell you what they're up to. We also have, of course, Lauren Boebert, calling for dumb things as usual. Rudy Giuliani tape. Oh, interesting. Little bit of trouble for Fox News and Dominion lawsuit, the defamation suit. We also have, yes, yet another Republican groomer. How does this keep happening? Where are all these, Republican groomers coming through? I thought it was supposed to be all the drag queens and the teachers and, the LGBTQ people. I don't understand. How come they always end up being cis white men? Republicans. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. And then, of course, we also have one of the most ridiculous anti-abortion arguments getting laughed at. Fun stuff. And then following that, one of the most racist arguments against abortion. It really is amazing. So all that's coming out of Nebraska. Nebraska Republicans, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. All right. Anyway, fun stuff as usual. So please like and share the stream if you haven't already. It's another day. Another day of interesting, ridiculous stuff. So why don't we get to it? Let me open up Twitch here. I thought I had it open already. I got like a million tabs going on. All right. We'll start with the Tennessee Republican Party. Following the unanimous reinstatement of the two expelled lawmakers, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, Tennessee Republicans have decided to, we're just going to pack up as quickly as possible and get out of here. Gotta go. Now, according to Phil Williams, an investigative reporter at News Center 5 on Twitter reported this, Quote, feeling the intensifying public heat, multiple sources are telling me that Tennessee House Republicans are telling members to pack for a long week when they come back on Monday and hope to adjourn by Friday or Saturday. Now, that is supposed to be a 2-week session. They're trying to pack it up a week early. Get it done. Get it done. Get it done. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Now, the independent progressive outlet, the Tennessee Holler, echoed that report by saying, we're hearing the same. Tennessee Republicans want to end the scrutiny and are scrambling to end this session sooner than expected. Gee, I wonder why. I can't figure it out. I mean, why would they be just, wanting to hurry things up and to get out the door? Well, you could, of course, say that, look, maybe it's got nothing to do with the intense national scrutiny after pulling off an incredibly racist move against these 2 young black lawmakers, and of course attempted to remove a 3rd female lawmaker who was white. For some reason, didn't have the votes to get rid of her. Wonder why. No, maybe it's they just want to get back to, I don't know, they want to get back home. They want to spend time with their families, or they want to fundraise. No. Well, okay, they probably do want to fundraise, but mainly, getting the hell out of Dodge. That's my guess. Now, look, the decision to oust Democratic representatives Justin Jones and Justin Pearson for their disruption of business on the floor of the Tennessee House did spark a lot of protest at the state capitol, and again, drew a lot of national attention. We've been talking about this a lot of, again, not just progressive media, but establishment media. We're all talking about this. Apparently, they cannot take the heat. What's the matter, Tennessee Republicans? You don't want to be in the spotlight? You don't enjoy the national lens, the scrutiny? You're getting a little hot under the collar? What's going on? You know, like people digging into your records, what you're doing, what you've done in the past? It's a real shame. Real shame. Look, Tennessee Republicans, as I pointed out before, and I'll get into more detail now, they have a history of scandal. They're no stranger to these kinds of salacious stories, but they never get a lot of national media attention. Yes, there was local media attention, local, again, outlets doing journalism, writing about this, but generally, somehow, they kind of stayed off the national radar after some pretty salacious scandals. Let me get into them. Now, just last year, for example, former Republican State Representative Robin Smith had been accused, along with the former House Speaker Glenn Casada and his one-time Chief of Staff, Cade Cothran. So those are 2 names, by the way, that are going to pop up a lot. Apparently, they have been charged with illegally funneling money to themselves through both campaign and taxpayer-funded work. Oops. Little bribery scandal, kickback scandal. Fun. Republicans, man. Now, in the case of those investigations, there was text messages between Cothran and Casada showing a lot of racism. There were, they would casually drop the N-word and disparage, of course, black people, calling them, of course, stupid. I believe one of them even referred to as black representatives or black people as baboons. So, yeah, gee,
The Republican Party's racist.
I don't know why people would get that idea. I just don't know where they would get that idea that Republicans are racist. Whoops. Now, there's more, by the way. So Justin Jones was one of the ones that was removed. Turns out Justin Jones has a bit of a history with Mr. Casada. In fact, back in February of 2018, before Jones was elected into office, he'd actually been arrested Now, look, the right wing is like, oh, see, look, criminal. You say criminal. The black person criminal. You see that he's doing crimes. Rioter. Antifa. Black Lives Matter. Yet he was arrested for throwing a cup at Quesada. Which, by the way, I don't know. If you're throwing a cup, it doesn't seem like a assault charge to me. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not saying you should throw things at people. But you know, this was. You'll see what happened afterwards. Okay, I will let you know. See, he was arrested in 2018, but was released on bond, and then there was an attempted frame job. In early March, there was a motion of that year filed to revoke Jones's bail, citing an email that Jones had allegedly sent to Quesada's chief of staff that was copied to the House Speaker, thus allegedly violating his bond conditions. Remember, part of his bond in that case was that he couldn't have any contact with Quesada. So, well, now, oh man, if you're sending emails, well, then obviously that would be initiating contact. Now, the DA's motion was based on a photo of an email with the date of March 1st. That is just one day, coincidentally, after the no contact order. That is a big, big coincidence. No, it turned out to not be true. Jones actually had the original email, which was dated February 25th. That was before his arrest. The DA's office ended up admitting that their so-called evidence came from the Speaker's chief of staff. And so, you know, it looks like they had tried to send Jones back to jail for, again, throwing a cup. Thankfully, that, of course, that entire thing had failed, and the charges against Jones ended up being dropped because it's ridiculous because he threw a cup. I'm just glad none of them were armed. I mean, geez. Right-wingers, you throw a cup or you throw a plastic bag, you're almost asking to be shot, according to them anyway. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Now, Quesada ended up stepping down from House leadership in 2022, then was indicted on bribery charges along with Kate Cothran. Their trial will actually be in October of this year. So we're going to see that play out. And that's just some of the dirt. There's more, by the way. Look, Republicans in Tennessee, lots and lots of dirt, lots of things to shovel through. I mean, it's bad. It's one Republican lawmaker being accused of sexually assaulting high school girls, students, 15 and 16-year-old girls that he had both taught and coached. Those allegations, well, that person that was, basically accused of these crimes was made chairman of the House Education Committee for the Republicans. Weird. It's almost as if, like, Republicans don't care about groomers. Because that, clearly, grooming. Where are they? Where are they? Are they going after these Republicans? No, of course not. Now, to be fair, of course, the party, once this comes out, it's like, oh, no, we want nothing to do with them. No, that's when you got heat on you. When you actually get attention for these things, that's when Republicans say, oh, my God. Oh, I can't believe this person. Yes, we have to get rid of this. Oh, we have got to get rid of this person. What a terrible, terrible person. And not only with all this other stuff, but you just have the petty stuff. I mean, first there was, I mentioned a couple of incidences of racism. Another member that presented a bill about sanctuary cities back in 2018 had also used a disparaging, slur against Latino people while telling the story. And on 2 separate occasions in 2020, Republican legislators, publicly cracked jokes about black people and fried chicken.
The Republican Party's racist.
I wonder why people keep saying that. Weird. Now, there's also other things, 2 other incidences, right? For one, there's intra-party fighting. I mentioned this already, but there was an unnamed legislator that had peed on another legislator's chair. This was over some social media posts. It's the PP incident. How did none of this get attention? Oh, you know what? I probably know why. Donald Trump being president. Everything else just kind of flew out of the radar, and now we're all playing catch up to how completely and utterly effed up at least Tennessee is, and to be fair, a lot of other places. Wow. And finally, members of the other party, by the way, were also, there was retribution on them. And again, we already knew this because we saw them enact retribution on Jones and Pearson. But also there was a Democrat who had declined to support the current speaker's re-election bid. What did they do with her? They had her office moved into a small windowless room, almost into a basement, basically. I mean, it's pretty much office space right there. Bribery, kickbacks, and maybe a stapler. I don't know. By the way, that Democrat is actually, again, Representative Gloria Johnson. So she had pretty good reason to be against these Republicans and for them to try to throw her out as well. They, of course, failed. But all of that really, really, really bad. Really bad. And so, obviously, probably the reason they're getting out of town. There is that adage. I'm sure you've heard it before. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Apparently, you're going to need that for at least some of the seats there, because you never know. But there's another part that goes along with that. That's actually not part of the saying, but I have noticed that sometimes when, you uncover some bad things in a dark place, well, you get some bugs that end up scattering. And that seems a pretty apt comparison to what's going on in Tennessee right now. Bugs are scattering. Wow. Still waiting on those TPS reports? Are you going to ask me to have more flair too? I don't want flair. I just want my stapler. Give me my stapler back. Promise me my stapler. Okay. Anyway. I know, Office Space references. You love it. All right. Moving on. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert trying to get NPR defunded. Oh, so now this started actually on April 12th when Chief Twit, Elon Musk, had posted, defund NPR. Okay. But why?
Elon.
Why defund NPR? Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, Boebert, she chimed in agreement, tweeting, "I've been saying that for quite some time. Let's get it done." As if there's nothing, literally better to do, Lauren Boebert. But hey, this all comes from some drama, apparently, between NPR and Elon Musk over Twitter. So now NPR decided to leave Twitter to pull all of their accounts off the social media network, which, by the way, PBS has now followed as well, because Twitter had labeled NPR a state-affiliated media. Later on, they changed it to government-funded media. Now, you might be wondering, okay, look, what's wrong with that? Well, do they get money from the government? Yes, I'm going to tell you how much that is and actually how inconsequential that is. But first, let me tell you the problem here. In the past, Twitter has applied that label to government-operated outlets considered generally to be propaganda outlets. Whether you agree or not, for that particular account or, government, whatever, that's what they would do. And so the precedent has been set. So Elon Musk, knowing that, after all, he bought the damn thing, meaning Twitter, putting that on NPR sends a message that they're basically a propaganda outlet of the autocrats or an autocratic government. So he's basically accusing them of being propaganda for the Biden administration. So look, do they have a left-leaning, perspective? Yeah, they're Democratic establishment perspective. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having that perspective. I don't agree with it. I'm a lot more lefty than NPR, but I don't have any hatred against NPR either. So there's nothing wrong with them. That said, right? This is just a clear attempt by Musk to be salty, saying, I hate NPR. I hate anything that could be possibly considered to be on the left. Okay, well, good for you. Now, NPR says that the label was both inaccurate and misleading, as it is a private nonprofit company that receives less than 1% of its $300 million annual budget from the federally funded Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So less than 1% of the budget. More information. Most of the federal funding comes from the, again, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which indirectly finances NPR by providing grants to local radio stations which license content from NPR for broadcasting. Most of the federal, state, and local government funding reaches NPR through the same process. In addition, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and federal, state, and local governments give direct grants to NPR, which again amount to less than 1% of the organization's annual budget in an average year. Less than 1% of the funding comes from the government. Does that mean you're government-funded media? Or that you're just government-funded? Well, according to Elon Musk, yes. Well, now wait a minute here. Wouldn't that mean that Twitter itself would be indirectly funded by the government? They haven't gotten any government grants, but Tesla got a lot of government subsidies. Through 2020, the government benefited significantly from tax credits given to consumers who buy electric cars, which reduced the cost of Tesla vehicles by $4,000 to $7,500. One attempt to track all the subsidies, including state and local incentives to support Tesla's manufacturing facilities, estimated the total benefits to be nearly $3 billion. So Elon Musk, perhaps your Tesla account should also have the label of government funded. Just saying, government funded. And you know what? By the way, maybe we should take all politicians and put government funded on their accounts as well. Again, Lauren Boebert, great example. She's on the government dole. What? She gets a congressional salary. She's government funded. What? We're just being accurate, right? Or maybe this entire thing is stupid. Just absolutely dumb.
Stupid.
And it's just an example of Elon Musk being incredibly salty, sensitive, and maybe trying to stir up engagement. Perhaps his, he's didn't see as many good returns changing his name to Harry Bowles, or, covering up the W on Twitter. Titter. It's Titter, everybody. Look at me. I'm 12. I'm making 12-year-old jokes. Please love me. It's so absolutely pathetic what Elon Musk is trying to do to get attention so that he can get people, I don't know, to buy Twitter Blue, to give him $8 a month because his business is, swirling the drain. This guy was considered once, oh, what a visionary, what a savior to mankind. He wants to save the world through electric cars. This person has done more damage to the EV movement than I think anything ever could. I want to go. Elon Musk makes me want to go and buy a car, or no, a truck set up to roll coal. I won't, because I'm not, I'm not a jackass. But he makes me want to so much. He's absolute he's a jackass. Now, look, a couple more things, okay? Now, for Boebert, look, Boebert, do you remember when she was crying about Newsmax? Newsmax being dropped from DirecTV. She literally took this onto the floor of Congress to say, look at how big tech is coming after conservative thought, Newsmax, conservative chat. I can't believe that they would do that. Big tech government. They hate us all. It's a war on conservative free speech. Do you know that? Do you know that? Now, that's funny because it's not having anything to do with, again, government or war on free speech or anything like that. Or cancel culture. No, Newsmax was only temporarily removed, by the way. And they did so because Newsmax demanded to be paid more money. Now, if you compare that with NPR, NPR had originally started out with much more federal funding, right? Through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And then throughout the years, especially after there was a funding crisis, they generally started relying more on viewers and other sources of revenue. So now, again, 1% of their budget is federal grants. They've been trying to take less money, but Newsmax demands more money. More money. Just for the privilege of hosting them. So, that's a microcosm of basically what's going on between right and left, But for her signing on to this and trying to defund NPR, ironically, it's about her going after a media outlet to do cancel culture, defund, because she doesn't agree with them politically. That's it. All because they're supposedly on the far left. Cancel culture for thee, but not for me. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Rudy Giuliani has been caught on tape admitting that they really don't have any proof to back up his election fraud claims. Take a look.
We ask you for as much evidence as you can tell us about these lawsuits. Whatever you can tell us in terms of evidence would be really helpful. Okay, great.
I can tell you exactly what we have.
Perfect. And what about this software, this Dominion software?
That's a little harder
troubling
to tell you. Right, it's being analyzed right now. I mean, there are a couple of races that have been reversed because the Democrat was triple counted, two already in Michigan. Now, whether that applies for the whole state or not, I can't tell you yet.
This Dominion software, does Nancy Pelosi have an interest in it?
I've read that. I can't prove that yet.
Okay.
Oops. I mean, I've read all these things, and I have all these thoughts, these ideas, but I don't really have anything. You know, evidence. Or better yet,
Just forget about the evidence.
I don't have evidence. I don't have anything. So now where do we get these tapes? Well, that's the more interesting part of the story, because it's not a surprise that Rudy Giuliani is a gigantic liar who occasionally drips things out of his forehead or face or whatever. Pores, perhaps. Don't know. Well, and there's also drips or releases of things in other places that we've seen, but, you know, or heard about, like in court. But no, that's not the most interesting part of the story. It's actually where these videos came from and who specifically. We had talked about before former Fox News producer Abby Grossberg. So Abby Grossberg had actually supplied these tapes because she had recorded them. In an amended legal complaint by Grossberg earlier this week, in her suit against Fox News for harassment and discrimination, where she has accused the network's lawyers of coercing her to falsify testimony, falsely testify in the Dominion defamation case, she brought those receipts. Awesome. She actually recorded these conversations back in November, December of 2020 during her time as the senior booking producer of Fox host Maria Bartiromo, who had helped promote some of the voting machine conspiracy theories that I will never get tired of telling you where Bartiromo got these conspiracy theories. Again, being told by Sidney Powell.
In Venezuela.
But Sidney Powell had received this so-called information from a cactus farmer. Or, no, I'm sorry, cactus artist. I keep calling her a farmer who believes that she had got this information through a psychic vision. She also claimed that the wind told her. It speaks to her.
Wind.
Wind. Oh, and yes, that she is also was spiritually decapitated, whatever the hell that means. I'm not entirely sure what else to say other than stupid. Yeah. The whole thing, clown show. This is what happens, by the way, when your entire party and even their so-called news apparatus embraces nonsense conspiracy theorist. Yeah, internally decapitated cactus artist. You're correct. Who, may or may not be a ghost. Yeah. No, you're all correct. There's just so much insanity that had come from this. And yet, Sidney Powell, the Kraken lawyer, she's like, seems legit. We're going to roll with this. Yes. The smartest people, the greatest people, the best people. Let me tell you what. But again, there's more. While what's in these tapes is important, it's also stuff that we already knew. It helps Grossberg's claims. Okay? Because you're not going to record your employer unless you feel like you're being, intimidated and you're planning to come out later. So that, again, helps her. I was a bit skeptical of some of Grossberg's claims, but this appears to be some vindication. Now, this also harms Fox News for other reasons. than just Giuliani, of course, admitting, and along with, Bartiromo thinking that this is, it's kind of BS because we don't have any evidence, we don't have any proof to prove it. During a pretrial hearing on Wednesday, the judge in the Dominion case had reprimanded Fox News for withholding these tapes in discovery. Now, again, Grossberg had them, and at the time, she had been represented by a Fox News appointed lawyer. She then broke from that, came out with these allegations, and then was promptly fired by Fox News. And then, of course, she took the tapes with her. So, besides sanctioning the network, the judge also said that he would likely appoint a special master now to investigate the matter and whether Fox made untrue or negligent claims about Rupert Murdoch's role at the network as well. Now, there's one more tape, by the way, that I want to show you. She didn't just make one tape. There's another tape. And this is, again, Bartiromo speaking with a Trump campaign official several weeks after speaking with Giuliani. You're going to love this conversation.
Are any of the machines, I know it was on War Room the other day with Steve Bannon, have any of the machines been looked at? He had said that one was looked at in Georgia.
I'd have to check on that in terms of Georgia. I know during the audit they did check on those machines. You're really, if we can just go off the record for 1 sec here.
Yeah, of course. I don't want us to say it if it's not. That's why we're checking.
I think they have looked at the machines. When the Secretary of State did its audit, there was a fair bit of looking at the machines. The audit came in pretty darn close to what the machine count was with the receipts. So, I don't know the outcome of those, but our understanding, again, this is from the Secretary of State's office, was that there weren't any physical issues with machines on those inspections.
Oops. Fun. That's really fun. Oh, okay. So, look. Another admission that, hey, we looked at the machines and, we didn't find anything wrong with them. Again, December 5th, 2020, before January 6th, which means they knew, and that's evidence right there, that they knew that they were putting out false and defamatory statements about Dominion voting machines and fueling what would eventually become January 6th. So now there are these tapes which might not be admissible in court because we're not talking about January 6th. The focus is not January 6th. The fact that these tapes exist, I mean, that's really incredibly damning towards Fox News' case. They all knew absolutely 100% that what they were saying was absolute BS and total garbage. Untrue. They knew it. There are many text messages between hosts and executives admitting it. And yet still, they went on and continued to defame this company, this voting machine company, in order to placate their audience and to make money. They were scared of a competitor, scared of Newsmax poaching their viewership because Newsmax was more than willing to continue lying unabashedly, which is why they're also being sued. They were afraid of the competition and afraid of losing their audience because they had built their entire network on lies. That's the fact. That's the truth. Facts don't care about your feelings, Fox News. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Move on. Oh boy. Oh man, we got another groomer. how does this keep happening, guys? How does this keep happening? By the way, for those of you watching, before I get into the details of the story, I want to give you a content warning. This involves some descriptions of sexual assault of a minor. You have been duly warned. Okay. A former Republican South Dakota state Senate candidate has been convicted and sentenced to 2 counts of incest. Now, Judge Margot Northrop of the 6th Circuit had sentenced the former Republican candidate Joel Koskin to 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine during a Tuesday sentencing hearing. So now the 44-year-old right-wing candidate has been accused of, again, sexual grooming behaviors of an adopted daughter, starting years ago when she was 12. She is 20 now. George Northrop noted in the case that Koskin had begun grooming the child at a young age when she had been adopted into the family, and also said that he had an addiction to porn and installed cameras in her bedroom as well as her college dorm room and had tried to control her activities. So massive amounts of control. And again, that tends to go along with groomer behavior. He would also instruct her to sit on his lap and kiss him from a young age. Eventually, again, as I mentioned, installing cameras, and would regularly sexually assault her, and would even go on to rape her multiple times, starting when she was 17. So, with a lot of the cases of abuse, this girl had no idea that what she was being forced to do was wrong until she went to a summer camp and found out that, of course, what was happening to her is absolutely heinous and wrong. And even then, of course, it took years and years before the victim was able to gather the courage to go to the authorities, likely because he had very, very strict control over her and her life. Now, as I mentioned, she was also, again, adopted and is indigenous. So not a lot of reports are covering that fact as well. Yes, that she was indigenous, and that this man had actually been a big surprise deacon at the church. So multiple layers of abuse, as well as a little bit of racism in this entire case, and it's absolutely horrifying. So now, when she was able to go and contact authorities, obviously she was discovered by Koskin, and he had texted her saying this, quote, "You promised you'd never do this. I'm begging you, you don't want to do this." So that could be taken as both pleading and possibly even a threat. Now, the judge in the pre-sentence report noted that Koskin had represented a high risk of further inappropriate sexual activity if he had remained in house arrest. So wait a minute, why are we talking about house arrest? Well, it turns out that there was a previous plea agreement in the case that almost was adopted. This is going to infuriate you, because this prior plea agreement would have included no prison time for Koskin for, again, years and years of sexually abusing an indigenous girl that he had adopted into their home. No prison time at all. Now, a judge had rejected that plea agreement and actually sentenced Koskin to the maximum in this case, again, 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine. Now, the original plea agreement would have required Koskin to pay the victim's college, therapy, and insurance through the age of 22, which again would be just an additional 2 years, and have no contact with the victim. Koskin, who ran for District 26 state Senate seat, nearly won his race. He ended up losing by about 4 percentage points in November of 2022 just days after the charges were brought against him. He had previously run before in 2020 and 2018, losing both times, and thankfully he did not win. But you still have people voting for him. Now, I'm going to be super, super charitable and say that, okay, look, since the charges were brought just a couple of days, before the actual race, maybe the people that voted for him were, engaged in early voting. That does happen. So maybe I would like to think so, because I'd hate to think of people that actively voted for someone who is, had at the time been accused of such heinous grooming. I mean, I couldn't imagine Republicans voting for a alleged groomer, right? Right? But look, overall, I'm glad he's going to prison. I think I think the sentence should be longer in this case to protect people from him, because he's an obvious predator. But again, another right-wing groomer, literal groomer. Now, look, I looked at his photo. Okay, Joel Koskin doesn't look like a drag queen to me. Doesn't look like anybody who's LGBTQIA plus, right? It doesn't look like that. No, looks like a straight white cis male. Weird. Shocking, right? I mean, I was told that all the pedophiles, all the groomers, were actually drag queens and men who put on a dress, or people who are teachers, LGBTQIA plus people. I keep getting told by the right wing that those are the groomers, that those are the people that are harming the children, that are taking advantage of little girls and are assaulting them, raping them. But it turns out, of course, it's one of them. It's always one of them, isn't it? Again, I mentioned he was a church deacon at the Rosewood Valley Baptist Church. Now, I could not find any additional information on, the stuff that was preached there. If it was a super conservative church or not, I would assume it is. Now, he was also a member, by the way, of the Cologne Consolidated School Board. So this man put himself into positions where he would interact with children, deacon, school board person, school board member, making decisions over children. And then, of course, to try to be a politician on the Republican side. And yet, while this is happening, what's Governor Kristi Noem doing? What are the Republicans in this state? What are they doing? What are they doing to protect children? Nothing, because they're going after drag queens. It ain't the drag queens that are going after little girls. No, it's Republicans, church members. That's who's going after little girls. That's who the groomers are. That's where they are. They're in your house, Republicans. They're in your party. And yeah, I know, Republicans, once again, they come out and say, oh, I can't believe that this would ever happen. Oh, what a terrible, terrible person. I just read you that plea agreement. You don't think that there was some pressure politically? Some, political considerations, whether or not this would hurt the Republican Party and their war against so-called groomers, against LGBTQIA folks? I'm glad the judge rejected this, and that this predator, this sick individual, is going away for at least 10 years, should be longer. But the judge gave the maximum that he was allowed to under law, and so I don't blame him for that. But I do blame Noem. I do blame the local Republican Party and the national Republican Party for consistently ignoring the fact that they are, whether they like it or not, but it's true, the party of groomers. Own it, Republicans. Either that or excise, and you probably should, no matter what, excise the groomers and the gross pedophiles from your party. And along the way, stop attacking trans people. Stop attacking trans children. Stop attacking drag queens. Stop attacking people for living their lives and doing nothing wrong. Go after the evil in your own house before you go after this imagined evil elsewhere. They won't, of course. Okay. One last story here. Yeah, fix your own affairs or you know, fix your own house or fix your face, something. They get off on attacking marginalized people. It's true. Okay. During a debate over Nebraska. Ooh. What is going on here? What is going on here?
There's insanity in the control room.
I think I'm too fired up from that last story. I can't even talk right now. I'm angry. Jesus Christ.
We'll do it live!
All right. During a recent debate over Nebraska's fetal heartbeat bill, which would ban abortion after 6 weeks in most cases, a right-wing lawmaker decided, during this debate to quote the Bible. And, I'm going to show you the reaction.
With a brand new baby in her womb. Mary and her new baby in her womb, she approaches Elizabeth, and John is in Elizabeth's womb. And the Holy Spirit is communicated in some miraculous, incredible way from the womb of the Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ himself to the womb of Elizabeth, John the Baptist, and John leapt. And that is why abortion is clearly evil. And that is why abortion is clearly evil.
He had to go for take 2, and still, people are laughing at him. Wow. Hey, you know what? That was State Senator John Lowe reciting Luke 1:1. Ooh, is that the one where he gets the lightsaber? Okay. By the way, in my opinion, just as true as the Bible, Star Wars. Cool story, bro. Explain, though, why your book, should be deciding the reproductive rights of people in your state. Please explain to me why your book should apply to everyone, especially people who don't believe in that book. And by the way, the same book that he's quoting is actually incredibly contradictory when it comes to the topic of abortion, when a life begins, all that stuff. There's even a passage, I believe it's in Numbers, where it instructs the reader in how to formulate a mixture to induce abortion. I mean, look, in that regard, it seems like God would be, pretty pro-choice. And by the way, isn't the whole idea of Christianity pro-choice? I mean, I hear this argument, well, God is giving you free will in order to make the choice that choices you want in life. And you can choose between good and evil. Well, okay, well, by definition, isn't that pro-choice? I mean, that's your belief system. It's not my belief system. And by the way, More importantly, or most importantly, it is not the belief system of the United States government. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that we should be forced to follow the Bible or any religion for that matter. In fact, it says the opposite, that the United States shall not establish any religion or prevent the free practice thereof. And so nobody's preventing you from not getting an abortion if you don't believe in it. That, again, is your right. Nobody's preventing you for speaking out against abortion. Certainly, I may think it's pretty distasteful. I think it's pretty, crappy when people are outside of abortion clinics that, are holding up signs calling people, women baby murderers and all that. But technically, that is protected by the First Amendment. That is freedom of speech. And so that is in the Constitution. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that you can use the Bible to strip away people's human rights, their reproductive rights, specifically the rights of women, cis women, non-binary people, and transgender men, who all have the capacity to get pregnant and can become pregnant people. Just pointing that out there. Just throwing that out there, to be inclusive and all. Even if it is kind of a cringe way to put it, at least it's inclusive and inclusively cringe. But that said, all right. Believe it or not, as much fun as we're having with this guy and his, obsession with the Bible, his argument, pretty quaint. And actually, okay, fine, whatever, compared to the next one that I'm going to show you.
We have killed 2,000 babies since abortion became legal. Those are 2,000 people in the state of Nebraska that could be working and filling some of those positions that we have vacancies. They're not here. Our state population has not grown except by those foreigners who have moved here or refugees who have been placed here.
Oh my God, he admitted.
That was State Senator Steve Erdman. You heard him going full replacement theory. Those immigrants, man. Our state population, white babies, it's not growing, and all we're doing is we're just getting these immigrants. And you wonder why they say
the Republican Party's racist.
I can't figure out why. I just can't figure it out. But again, this guy saying the quiet part out loud. And by the way, I am surprised that he did not refer to the babies, because that's what he said, babies, right? As a domestic supply of infants. We don't talk about language, right? Messed up language, dehumanizing language, domestic supply of infants. Specifically, again, white infants, Nebraska, 85% white. Now, there was another hint in there that was very problematic, which he could have actually used the phrase human capital stock instead of babies, because as he pointed out, if they hadn't been aborted, they would be working and filling the vacancies so that we didn't have to bring in those dirty immigrants. Oh, did I say that? What? Did I say that? Look, speaking of vacancies in labor, by the way, and caring about the children, because there is a pretty big connection here that I would love to point out to you. Recently, a Wisconsin-based company, just wait, that provides workers to clean food processing plants, meat packaging plants specifically, paid a $1.5 million fine for illegally putting 102 children to work in dangerous jobs at meatpacking facilities, including ones in Kansas and Nebraska. Oh, oops. So, look, am I okay with a kid getting a summer job? Yeah, of course. It's summer job, make some extra cash, on your summer if you want to do paper route or whatever. This ain't it. What this is, well, let me tell you what this is. This is Packers Sanitation Services. Again, they paid $1.5 million to the Department of Labor after an investigation found that it illegally employed children in dangerous jobs in 8 different states. Jobs that were cleaning devices like back saws and head splitters using back saws and head splitters. Imagine being a 13, 14-year-old. Clean a head splitter. If you're not familiar what that is supposed to do, I think it's pretty obvious. You are literally splitting heads. Can't see a drag show, though. That's harmful to children. But seeing that kind of mutilation and slaughter of livestock, totally fine, not damaging at all on a child's psyche. Yeah. And by the way, it's not just that. Look, there were basically cleaning these, implements, tools with caustic chemicals that could cause burns. In fact, at least 3 teenagers ended up suffering injuries as a result of their work in this very fast-paced, literal slaughterhouse environment. Packer Sanitation employed the most child workers at a place called JBS Foods Facility in where? Grand Island, Nebraska, where DOL investigators found 27 minors working. Packers also had children working in plants in both Gibbon and Omaha, both in Nebraska. Hey, everybody, we love the children's, but we only love the white ones. And only so, the poor white ones specifically can be put to work, helping the rich make money. Look, there's a lot of things that go into the right wing's obsession with fetuses and wombs. There's the control angle, of course, controlling people's uteruses, sure, definitely a part of it. But there's also the, as this guy mentioned, Erdman, that, well, we need to make sure that, the white people maintain the majority. Yes, we have to, look, we can't repopulate our, our country with other people's babies. I mean, again.
Oh my God, he admitted it.
And look, while that's going on, they also ensure, by lack of investment, that families stay poor. And look, if you're low income and, unfortunately, like you get pregnant or birth control fails or whatever, you don't get access to it. Do you ever have a chance of leaving the, low income status? There's a chance. Sure, there's always a chance. But the more children you have, the more expenses that you incur, of course, because children, are expensive. The most latest, I believe, estimate of how much money it takes to, how much you're expected to spend on each child, from, birth to 17 is about $302,000. Not very likely to get out of poverty when you have more and more children because of the lack of, reproductive choice. And then, by the way, by design, because guess what poor kids add? A cheap source of labor for these meatpacking plants and corporations. There's a lot of reasons, as I mentioned, why Republicans push to restrict reproductive rights, but again, none of them are really based on protecting children, protecting lives. If you would do so, you would actually try to reduce unwanted pregnancies in the first place. Again, through comprehensive sex education and available birth control measures. But see, the same people who push these bans all the time generally also tend to refuse to give people who are low income and, have children, families, to give them welfare benefits. They also refuse for those who, have to be given up to adoption. They don't allow LGBTQIA plus people to adopt them. Something about, well, they're gay. We can't, no, they need a mother and a father is what they need. And so they'd rather allow those children to end up going to one of the last stories that I did earlier in the show was a Republican in South Dakota, I believe, that adopted a young indigenous girl and then sexually abused her for years. I'd rather a gay couple. They're much, much safer, children are, with a gay couple than with some of these so-called, pro-life, pro-family Republicans. They also refuse to, by the way, fund healthcare, fund education, and allow more and more gun violence to happen in schools, theaters, malls, and, of course, in the home. Gun violence, number one killer of children now. Ain't drag queens. It's guns. Gun violence. They also, by the way, push fake science, which is always fun. This Nebraska Heartbeat Act, which they're debating, would ban abortions once cardiac activity would be detected. However, medical experts, people who actually know what they're talking about, point out that there's, at 6 weeks, there's no heart. It just literally doesn't exist. There's no heart to generate a heartbeat. Not real. Instead, the embryo develops a tube that generates sporadic electrical impulses that eventually will coordinate into rhythmic pulses. 6 weeks of pregnancy, by the way, is also closer to 4 weeks of actual fetal development because pregnancy is measured from the first day of a woman's last period. That is before she is actually pregnant. So, but, hey, look.
Just forget about the evidence.
We don't need the evidence. We don't need science. We don't need facts. No, what we need more white babies to work in the meat packing plants or to go off and die as soldiers for corporations. It ain't me saying that. It's them.
USA, USA, USA.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, that was a much angrier show than I thought it would be. Like, holy crap. All right, so before I get going for the day, let me do a couple of things. For one, let me start out with some super chats. No Man's Jam, with a very kind super chat donation. Let me give you what you have asked for.
Mike Pounds.
Okay. Jonathan Leiter, thank you for the gifted membership. Gabby Mathis, thank you for the gifted membership as well. And Jonathan says, I remember when Tesla set up a showroom in the art gallery of District of Manhattan. Over 15 years at least. I thought it was an art installation because who would put a car dealership inside of a storefront gallery? Well, that's a good question. Very, very good question. Let's see. Rallying cry from Sarah. Yeah, absolutely. Besides children, cleaning head splitters are also exposed to ammonia, feces, and blood. Yes. Yeah, I mentioned the caustic chemicals, but you are right. They're also, I mean, 13, as young as 13, 14, probably. Kids, teenagers, having to work in those conditions. Yet, drag shows, can't do it. Can't hear about the existence of a trans person or read genderqueer. Can't do that because that will destroy their little minds. Yes, it's true. Destroy them. But the blood, the head splitters, working breakneck pace in the factories, totally fine. It's so ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They would have PTSD from working in a slaughterhouse. Yeah. I've never seen somebody have PTSD from seeing a drag show, unless, of course, you're a conservative. Because maybe they have a PTSD or a very, very weird boner, which I don't have a problem with. Have fun with it. Just for God's sakes, don't go and attack other people for some weird inadequacy that you seem to have. That's all I'm saying.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Also,
Tallywhacker.
Okay, I had to get that out. Sorry. Hunger Games 1989. We're going over to Twitch now. Thank you for subbing for a month at Tier 1 for 15 months. Awesome. Designer Dragon M. Thank you for resubbing for a month at Tier 1 for 9 months. And asks a burning question. Do I listen to Ghost? I have no idea what Ghost is. Sorry to disappoint you. I'm not a big music guy. So I don't listen to the radio. I don't know. I don't buy CDs. CDs aren't a thing anymore, but even when it wasn't exactly the person out there to go and buy the CDs. And so yeah, I'm not with it. I'm a little old.
Disappointed!
That's okay though. Spotify. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Again, I don't, not knocking it, but I'm not someone who, turns on like a music program, playlist or whatever, and sits there and just, vibes to music. Totally fine if you do. That's just not what I do. Tis all. All right. And Twitch community, let's do a raid into KF Logan's stream. KF Logan 1875. Oniji Ken says, why are Republicans so worried about kids being white if they want said kids to be subject to a lifetime of drudgery in the slaughterhouse? Well, I mean, that's all right. That is an interesting question. Because look, for me, and I can't see the question anymore, and I have to hurry. So look, the thing about that is that even though there's like obviously a lot of racism, there's still a stratification among I guess white Republicans, right? And so poor people, obviously, they consider to be less moral, even if they're white. And so those poor people are conditioned to believe that they are better, even though they are poor, and supposedly less moral for being poor, still more moral than black people, immigrants, etc. And so there is that hierarchy. In fact, they use that hierarchy and traditionally use that in order to keep white people from aligning with black people for liberation, the liberation of all the working class. Hopefully that answers your question. It also doesn't apply to their families. Yes. All right, everybody, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Support our channel every way you can. Again, there's the super chats, there's bits, there's signing up at our Patreon. With that, thank you all. Love you, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
I will eat your ass.
Who's got a hammer? Technically.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
ice cream in hell.
Sexual anarchy.
It's not a salami sandwich.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
USA, USA, USA.